We're all entitled to our own opinion, but we're not entitled to our own facts. The fact of life is that the United States District Court for the Northern District of New York in 1988 held in a case brought by Skidmore students that as long as they lived in dormitories or other on-campus housing, they had a right to vote, provided they registered, of course.
Saratoga city government worked without the input or interference of Skidmore students for 40 some odd years. The Republican machine didn't want to know what we had to say, they didn't want to hear what we had to say, and they just as soon ignore us.
The town's Republican, the college is Democratic, and we will consistently vote in that fashion, and the town and some of the town members may not want us to vote in that fashion. And that would be the only reason why they would want to remove a voting booth on campus.
I think it's an interesting dynamic in the political and civic life of Saratoga Springs to have the Skidmore students involved, and I would encourage them all to register and to vote for the candidate of their choice.
I just think that there's no reason why Skidmore kids can't come to a voting booth, why it has to be on campus.
For, I guess, from time immemorial, since this city was created, it has been a bastion of republicanism.
Voting up at Skidmore would be a good thing to get the young kids involved in taking a stance in the United States as far as our voting process goes. I do believe, especially at the coffee shops, the Skidmores do have an impact downtown.
Perfect.
And their families, when they come in, they bring them down shopping, which is a good thing for us business owners.
The city believe that you students do not have a right to vote. They're entitled to their opinion, but they're wrong in terms of the facts.
We tipped the November elections. Because of the Skidmore vote, Tommy McTighe won. There were a lot of articles in the paper saying as such, and several people who were involved in the Republican Party came up and told me that our voting booth was marked, that it wasn't going to be very long before they tried to take the voting booth away.
But that's really when it started. That's when you knew that the assault was going to begin and the attacks were going to begin. And sure enough, you know, you could script it out. Anything that threatens their power base, Jasper Nolan's going to be in the middle of it, and they're going to take you on, and they're going to do everything they possibly can, and that's what happened.
It wasn't news until the Democratic votes in this district proved meaningful in a particular race, and then everybody noticed it.
Bobby Dandridge gave up his seat after the November election, forcing a special election. During that special election day, there were several individuals who were hired by the Republican Party specifically to stand behind that station and challenge Skidmore students' right to vote.
The Republican Party had sent, I believe, 6 men or so, some of whom lived in Saratoga and some of whom did not live in Saratoga, and therefore were actually illegal voter inspectors.
One of these 3 guys, or a couple of them looking over each other's shoulders, would go through the list and see if that name on their list was marked as ready for a challenge. And they would simply say, I challenge that vote. And then to be allowed to vote, once your right has been challenged, you have to sign a long affidavit. What these people were trying to do was intimidate Skidmore students and try and see if we would back down from the challenge. Nobody did. Nobody was afraid of saying, I have the right to vote here.
This, for all intents and purposes, was basically a use of dirty politics. Their goal was to intimidate us. Their goal was for a number of students who were 18, 19 years old to be scared off by scary men in suits.
It was an organized and concerted effort to deprive Skidmore students of their constitutional rights.
They're going to come back and they're going to intimidate and they're going to check everybody to make sure that they're registered and they're going to do everything that they can to discourage you from voting. And you have to be very aware of that. Know that it is your right, and you always have the right to vote.
Every other Tuesday is a city council meeting. The Monday before, at around 4 in the afternoon, they mention that what they're going to do is try and move the Skidmore voting booth and give us the 26 some odd hours in between to rally the troops during finals week.
Even Mr. Fusey with the Democrat that sits in Boston with the Board of Elections, he was not informed, nor was he asked to sit in and make any suggestions in reference to this. You dealt with this solely through the Republican organizations, and you ignored the Democrats, other than drop this on our desk at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
They were shamefaced the entire time, just staring straight down at their tables. They couldn't defend what they were trying to come up with because they didn't have any legitimate reasons for it. They couldn't come out and say they don't like the way we vote. So they just had to let Debbie Harper go up there and take all the flack from everybody and put forth these really dubious sort of rationales. Town, I think, said maybe 3 or 4 sentences throughout the entire hour. Debbie Harper was the one who did all the talking. Curley, Lenz didn't speak the entire time, except to vote to move the voting booth.
The presentation that she made was nothing but a sham. It was a sham. And it was also a shame. She absolutely ruined her reputation with that presentation because there was no substance to it. There were no compelling issues or facts that would have led anybody to a conclusion other than this is the Republican Party trying to close down a group of voters who are not sympathetic to their cause.
The reasons Debbie Harper had that she brought up during the city council meeting were pretty slim. A voting booth wouldn't be handicap accessible if it was in the case, which is kind of foolish because by federal law, all of Skidmore College has to be handicapped accessible. And about how there's no parking. Because the thing is, if 700 of the 800 voters or 900 voters who could possibly be using this voting booth are going to be on campus, none of them need to drive. And the best one was that the redistricting for the state senate lines created a situation where they had to change the Skidmore district.
This is a situation that was thrust upon us by the state redrawing of senatorial district lines.
But of course, all the redistricting occurred way south and way west of Skidmore, a couple of miles away. And the districts in between us weren't affected, but for some reason we had to bear the brunt and end up in this butterfly shape.
Why don't you invite us down here to talk about it so that how we can have the lines redrawn in a way that will not result in what kind of looks like muted bats, maybe a duck. I think of it as kind of a dinosaur. Some people have thought of it as Snoopy. But when I think about it, what it comes down to, when it comes down for me, when it comes down to what 600 people on the Skidmore campus think, dirty politics.
Oh, and then she started talking about how there wasn't enough money in the budget to pay for a new voting booth, and really they were working on such a strapped budget.
At this point, it is not within the budget, and we will not be buying any more machines this year.
But, Tommy McTighe pointed out that, of course, the city was running a multi-million-dollar surplus at the time.
Make a request for the $6,000 or $7,000 or the $10,000 you need to buy the machines, and we'll buy you the machines.
It was really nonsensical. They had no reasons except for the fact that they don't like the way we vote.
If you add up what they tried to do in February, their desire to remove the voting booth, their sense of how they decided to gerrymander our district and only our district in Saratoga, the lame excuses that they used, the excuses that really made no sense if you thought about them. There's no question that they had a desire to get us not to vote.
But they're definitely they'll come back. It's not over by a long shot. Ideally, I would love to see both parties, not just the major parties, but the Independence Party, the Green Party, have some kind of presence right here on campus. So I would encourage you guys to pay attention, to listen, and to all the candidates, Democrats, Republicans alike, and to make your own decisions.
As long as you have the number of registered voters, it would be foolish of the city to punish you because they don't like the fact that you vote in Saratoga Springs, to withdraw that machine. It would be foolish simply because you have probably 600-700 registered voters on campus. That's a powerful number of students.
That's right.
And I would urge you all to make sure that you exercise your right to vote.
But I hope it's over. I really do.
Hello, Eric. This is Debbie Harper from the Accounts Department in City Hall. I am not going to have time to meet with you in the near future, so in the interest of moving your project along, I wanted to suggest that you contact Diane Wade at the Board of Elections about your project, and you can reach her at 885-2249, which is the Board of Elections in Boston spot. And I did tell her that you may be calling. So she'll know who you are, and you should feel free to give her a call. I hope that'll be helpful. Thank you.
Eric, this is Diane Wade. No, I'm not interested in doing the interview since I was not a part of that whole issue, which I explained to you before. It was not that I'm too busy. It's I have no opinion on it because I was not commissioner at that time. Thank you. Bye.